Hello. Welcome to Paint with Faith. My name is Ida Mae and I will be painting with you today. So, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a quick supply check. And then I'm going to do some more introductions. Let's find our supplies. So, to do this class, you'll need one paintbrush, one water cup, a canvas, and a rag or a paper towel. We call this a canvas, not a canvas, because we believe you can do it. Okay, so this Paint with Faith is a motivational mobile paint company, and we specialize in motivating our community through the arts. And I want you to repeat after me because I believe in you and I believe you can finish this painting. So say, if I believe, I can achieve. Okay, a little bit louder, get some motivation. If I believe, I can achieve. Okay, I believe you can do it, and I'm excited for both of us today. So first thing we're going to do is let's think about what we're going to be painting. We're going to be painting a whale in the ocean. I don't know if you've ever been whale watching, but it's a really interesting phenomenon because when you're out in the ocean, you don't see anything, but there's lots going on under the water. There's lots of fish and huge whales that can be maybe up to 100 feet long swimming under your boat, and they come to the surface of the water, and that's really exciting. So we're going to paint what's going on under the water. So the first thing we're going to do is let's wake up our canvas just a little bit. By the way, my name is Ida Mae. Everybody say, hi Ida Mae, or you can say, hey Ida Mae. I'm from Mississippi, so you can add a little southern twang to it. So I'm going to paint my canvas with a little bit of water. I like to wake my canvas up with a little bit of water. The canvas you're working with may be the size 9 by 12, and that's a great size to paint with. So you're just going to paint the both edges of your canvas, edge to edge, edge to edge. Okay, now that we've woken our canvas up just a little bit, we're going to get started with some painting. On your palette, you should find some colors. I like to use primary colors, and then we can mix them to create other colors based on what color we want. Okay, let's start with blue. We're going to mix a little bit of blue paint with white, and that will give you a light blue. We're going to paint the sky. About 1 inch, you can fill in the sky portion of your painting. Where the sky meets the water, we can add a little bit of a wave there. There we go. And you're going to paint from one side of the canvas to the other, creating a long wave. Just like that. How is your wave coming along? Okay. Does anybody know how to surf? I've never learned to surf, but I'm sure it's a really fun activity. Some people say it's called catching some waves. So the next thing we're going to paint is we're going to paint the ocean water. Let's decide. I think I'm going to bring this down a little more, about 2 inches. We're going to paint a whale's tail coming out of the water. So we want to make sure that we have enough water, enough skyline. So let's come down about 2 inches. So let's just come down a little bit more. And we're going to fill in the sky, just like that. Remember, there's no mistakes in art, just room for opportunity. So let's come down a little bit more. This is going to be a great painting. I can already tell. I like to create an ombre when I'm painting, especially in the sky. An ombre is when the colors slowly fade and gradually change color. Let's take a big dollop of white paint on the tip of our brush, and we're going to paint it right on the canvas at the top of your wave. You'll notice that the color gets a little bit lighter. Do you see a gradual change in the hue of your water? Of your sky? If you want to see a little bit more of a change, let's add a little bit more white paint. All right. Now I'm ready to paint some of the dark blue on the inside of the water. Let's add some blue to our light blue color. That will make your light blue a little bit darker, but still lighter than the dark blue. I'd like to add a little green. Wow, that's a fun color. Blue and green, do you know what color that makes? Did somebody say turquoise? Yeah, turquoise or teal. Now we're going to paint some shapes under the water. Let's start with our first shape. Have anyone ever seen the McDonald's sign? It's a double arc or an M. Let's paint one of those shapes. Just like that. Now let's paint a circle. Well, a half a circle. Our next shape will be these tall, long and tall seaweeds growing out of the side. Long and tall seaweeds. One. The shapes that I'm creating are long, oval-like shapes. And I'm going to create 3 long oval-like shapes. And maybe there are a few hanging out behind. 1, 2, and maybe one up here. 3. Down here at the bottom, let's add a shape that almost looks like a cactus with 1, 2, 3 arms. It kind of looks like a clover. These are all shapes that you would find underwater. Let's replicate some of these shapes over here to the right. 1, 2, and 3. Now that we have some of our shapes, we can add one in this corner too. Now that we have some cool shapes, let's paint in the water. And I'm going to leave all of these blank and fill in the area above the plants to create a nice underwater scene. To make this color, I used blue, green, and white. I'm going to add a little bit more white to my turquoise so that my whale really stands out when it's time to paint the whale. When I was a little girl, I never had any pets. The only pet I ever had was a fish. I think a fish is a great pet, but I kind of always wanted a dog. Have you ever had a pet fish? Our fish lived in an aquarium, and there were lots of plants just like this in the fish aquarium. Okay, and I'm going to paint around each shape, and then we're going to paint in all of these shapes. Okay. Now that we're almost done painting in the water portion of our oceanscape, let's paint our whale. Our whale is going to be dark blue. So to paint the shape of the whale, we're actually going to paint over all of the rest of our colors. So we're going to start with blue paint. The whale's body is going to start with the letter J. And you're going to paint the letter J starting out of the water and come around and end over here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to load our paintbrush up with so much blue paint. I think I need some more blue paint. I want you to make a bold, fun, and very long and large J. So load your paintbrush up with blue paint. Dip it, dip it, dip it, dip it, dip it. I have a lot of blue paint on my brush. And when you're ready, let's put a J in the middle of our canvas. Here we go. Are you going to do it with me? Okay, here we go. Starting out of the water. Whoa! How is that going to be a whale? Okay, we're going to do a good job. Don't worry. Okay, let's darken this line and smooth it out. Okay. The top of the whale, it's gonna be right here. So we're gonna make an arc, and then it's gonna go up. So we're just gonna go an arc, and it's gonna go up, and it's gonna come right back down. And that is the shape of the body of your whale. We're gonna wait on our friends to finish this part, but while we wait, let's paint in our whale. And you can start to paint it in and fill in that shape. I'm gonna wait on everybody before I move forward. While I'm waiting, I'm just gonna play with some of my turquoise and redefine some of my plants in the background. Since I covered up that part, I'm just gonna create a new plant form there and one more plant form there. Just like that. There we go. Okay, who's ready to give your whale a whale's tail? So just grab your paintbrush, load it full of blue paint, and we're gonna make the letter M once again. We're gonna go down, up and down, and up and down, just like that. Can you do that? Right over this part. So the V should be in the middle. Now we're going to make an arc to connect both sides. Excuse me. The tips of each side, it's going to be a little bit pronounced. We're going to keep that tip, and now we're just going to fill it in. and bring it down just like that. All right, let's use a little bit of turquoise, which is blue, green, and white, and we're going to paint over our whale's tail with the water. 1 and 2. If you're anything like me, you probably got a little bit of blue into your green, but that's okay. Now we can see that the tail is in the water. We're going to let that dry. But while it dries, let's give our whale a little fin. Let's use a little bit of blue paint. Blue paint mixed with white for a light blue, just light enough to create some contrast against the whale's body. We're going to give the whale a little fin in the middle of the body. When making the fin, you can make almost like the letter S or a curve and come down to a point. This is an organic shape that has a curve in the middle and a point, and the fin goes out to a little point there. We're going to let that dry a little bit, and while it dries, let's work on another area of the painting. This is looking great. If you're finished, let's hold it up and see how you're doing. I wish I was there to see. Okay. Now we can rinse our brush out. To rinse out your brush, you want to put your paintbrush into your water. Push down until your brush is clean. Take your brush and run it off the rim of your glass, just like that. To dry your brush, take your paper towel or your rag and pinch it just like that. So now we're going to paint all of these beautiful corals and reefs in the bottom of the water. Do you have the color orange? If you don't, you can mix red and yellow. Red and yellow make orange. But if you have orange, you can go ahead and mix it with a little bit of white paint. That's going to help create a color called almost like a light orange or coral orange, coral pink. So you want to make a nice light orange. We're going to paint this huge body of reefs behind the whale orange, light orange. I'm going to use a little bit more white, and we're going to fill in these areas with our light orange paint. Orange and blue are complementary colors, and so when you create a painting and you put these two colors right next to each other, They create a really beautiful contrast. There are a lot of companies that use orange and blue as part of their logos. The next time you're out in your community, see how many logos you can find with the color orange and blue. And you'll know that the reason why they use those colors is to get your attention. The people in your community who decide what colors to create things, they're called graphic designers. Graphic designers are people who really make decisions on how to present merchandise to the masses for sale or just because it's beautiful. A lot of the color choices that people use are because of science, but oftentimes they can just be influenced by nature. Okay, I painted in each of these sections with my light orange paint. What other colors could we use? What about yellow? I have some yellow paint here. I'm going to paint this large plant that has an arc in it with yellow paint. So bright and pretty. While painting, I'm going to accentuate all of the curves. Just like that. Maybe let's paint this large shape yellow too. Yellow is a primary color, but yellow is also used to make lots of colors that we use all the time. If you mix yellow and blue, do you know what color that makes? Did you say green? That's right. Yellow and blue makes green. What if you mix yellow and red? We said that one earlier. Orange. That's right. Yellow and red makes orange. Okay. We still have to paint in one, two, and three more shapes. Let's mix our colors together to create interesting hues for this underwater scene. Let's try mixing our yellow and our green. The color should be a light green or a lime color. What color did you get? Okay, what color should we mix next? Should we mix? Let's try green and white. If you mix your green with a little bit of white, what color do you think you'll get? Yellow and blue make green. And green and white makes light green. I'm going to paint these small pieces of vegetation over here using light green. I'm going to use quite a bit of white so that the color is brighter than the yellow green over here. Woo! I'm looking for my towel. I got quite a bit of paint on my paintbrush, so I'm just going to clean up as I go. That's better. If you have to clean the paint off of your hand, you can do that, but acrylic paint is a water-based medium, and it's pretty easy to clean with soap and water after we finish. We still have this beautiful light green in our brush. Let's make some patterns while we have our brush full of the light green. I'm going to make some patterns on the yellow in the middle. It might be a little wet, but that's okay. The green will go right over the yellow paint. We're going to make some dashing marks going diagonal. There are lots of patterns in nature, so all of our underwater plants will feature patterns. This will be our first of many patterns that we create today. I can only imagine all of the patterns and textures that can be found in underwater scenes or found in the ocean and on the plants in the ocean. So now we have this large shape in the background. The large shape is going to offer us an opportunity to put a large color. What color should we choose? We use orange and white for this color. How about orange? The orange color, it will create a very deep contrast for our well. So we're just going to go around just like that. I'm going to paint in the orange color on the background, and then I'm going to wait for all of our friends to catch up. To fill in the large areas, sometimes I use a lot of paint and long, bold strokes, just like that. If you find that you don't have quite enough paint, some artists dip their paintbrush in a little bit of water, not too much. You don't want your paints to come off to appear runny or translucent. And there's one more little area right in there, and you can paint that one in, I would say, artist choice, whatever color you like. I'm just going to choose orange since I have it in my brush. But if you want to choose a different color, you can. So now you see I have the entire canvas filled up. I'm going to give us a few minutes so that we can catch up to this stage and we can finish up our painting. Okay?
Mom, what about the eyes?
Hello. So let's touch our well to see if it's dry. If your well is dry, then let's move on to this next step. To rinse your brush, you just push it into the bottom of your glass, and then you run the brush off the tip of the glass just like that. I like to give my brush one little squeeze to make sure all of the water's out. Now we're going to paint the gills of the well. Let's mix a little bit of light blue paint. So we're going to take blue and white to make light blue. So this is the light blue colored paint. So we're going to start with a line that we're going to give that starts at the tip of the mouth right there. And we're going to give our well a frown. Like, is that a whale sound? Can anybody cry like a whale? But then we're going to turn that frown upside down and make it smile a little bit on the edge. Okay. You're going to give them a little bit of a smile. Okay. So we started with a frown and then we turned it upside down. Just like that. Under the whale's mouth, you can paint the whale's belly with the light blue paint, just like that. And it's okay if you go all the way up to the edge. And I'm going to go all the way up to the tail, to the fin. Okay. And we're going to give paint a little bit of light blue paint under the fin of, under the bottom part of the fin. Just like that. Okay, so since we have the light blue paint in our brushes, let's create some patterns under our water, on our underwater plants. Let's go with this plant right here. I'm going to give it some wavy patterns. Long wavy patterns. I want it to be a little bit lighter, so I'm going to add some white paint. So I can get a really nice, bright light blue. I'm going to add some waves. Did you scratch it? Okay, I'll put a bandage on.
I kind of was scratching it because it was scratchy.
Okay, what other areas can we use our light blue paint? I was thinking that we can add some light blue to the yellow up here, because yellow and blue are such great contrasting colors. Let's add some long stripes. Light blue and yellow. A winning combination. Okay. What other areas can we paint with the light blue? I'm not sure. Let's rinse our brush and move on. Let's give our whale an eye. So to create an eye, let's use some black paint. Ooh. I have a little bit of black paint here, and we only need a tiny bit. After you rinse your brush, we're gonna make a tiny eye socket for our whale's eye.
Hi, we're Fiverr, a global marketplace connecting individuals and businesses.
Excuse my computer. Sorry. So we're gonna make right in the middle of your whale, under the smile, or over the smile, about right there, you can create a little dot, and we can make a circle. Okay, we can fill that circle in. And right over the top, put a little line. I'll bring the canvas closer so you can see it. let's use our black paint to create some polka dots or dash marks on our shape behind it. So I'm gonna space these marks out. And you can create your own pattern of dots or dashing marks. A pattern is a repeating shape or group, or even sometimes in music, a pattern can be a repeating set of words. So I'm moving really quickly, but when we finish our session, you can come back and add all of these patterns in any way you like. One of the most famous patterns used in fashion and trending items today are polka dot patterns. Okay, so before we finish our painting today, let's put a little white dot in our whale's eye. To do that, I use the opposite side of the brush. Dip it in some white paint and put it right to the left or to the right to create a little tiny sparkle in the whale's eye. Be sure to wipe off the end of your brush. These light green plants would be a great place to add some white little patterns. We talked about polka dots earlier. This would be a polka dot pattern. I find that it's a little bit easier to use the brush than this end, but you can use whichever end you like. It's always fun to create texture in your art by using different objects. Keep it going. You're doing really great. Okay. Before we leave, let's give our whale some texture. I still have a little bit of black paint in my brush. There's a shape in the back of this one, in the back of all of these plants. I'm going to use the brush to make long lines in the opposite direction. The black and the orange look almost like tiger stripes. Almost there. Okay. I'm going to give the whale some beautiful blue spots on its back. Let's start on the very top. How about 3 large spots? 1, 2, 3. And maybe 1 over here. And under those 3, I'm going to add 2 large oval spots. And maybe 1 there. And finally, 2 or 3 tiny baby spots. Just like that. Whales often have small growths on their back called barnacles. Barnacles, I'm pretty sure, are shells that little tiny snails live in. Let's give our whale 1 little dot on his top of his head for a tiny blowhole. Okay, so as we finish up with this class, be sure to sign your painting and let's take a picture together. So while we're waiting on all our friends to finish up, you can sign your painting at the bottom. And let's sing our company song. I'll say the words and then you can repeat after me and we can say them together. So, say, I know I can paint what I want to paint. If I don't know the way, I can paint with faith. Okay, let's add some jazz to it. Here we go. Will you sing with me? I know I can paint what I want to paint.
Paint what I want to paint.
If I don't know the way,
If I don't know the way,
I can paint with faith.
I can paint with faith.
I know I can
I know I can
paint what I want to paint.
paint what I want to paint.
If I don't know the way,
If I don't know the way,
I can paint with faith.
I can paint with faith.
All right. Thank you for painting with faith today. And my name is Ida Mae. And I will see you next
Mommy,
time.
I want to say too.
Bella wants to say bye.
Bye.